Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Continuing our discussion with Dr. Azzam, who's a specialist in ICT and information communication technology, now talking about sustainable ICT, talking about the introduction of artificial intelligence and applying it, the digital transformation that Egypt has been going through over the past few years. Now, how can we sustain the information communication technology if this sector by nature is updating by the, not a month, like weeks and days, by the hour? It keeps changing and keeps developing and updating, and we need to be adapting to the progress within the ICT sector. How do we do that?
What's happening is you keep train people. And also you avail the latest technology to the developers, and this is happening actually in many training initiatives, and availing the tools and the knowledge for youngsters to equip them with the right skills to be able to deal with such unprecedented pace and of development that's beyond imagination. Also, you need to include sustainability within your ICT infrastructure. For example, the telecom towers, for example, you need to use renewable energy to feed such towers with the required power. You need to build green data centers that is dependent mainly on green technology or renewable energy. You need, in the manufacturing sector, you need to have the notion of make to reuse, not make to dispose. That's actually the concept comes with the fourth industrial revolution. In the past, we had this electronic piece of this kind of machinery, and then you made kits for disposal.
Yes.
And then you had a sort of electronic waste. In the new technologies, you are considering recycling all the time, reusing all the time. That's why even the large industries, the electronic industries, the ICT, large industries is considering this notion of making to reuse. Also, you are helping others to, as an industry, as ICT industry, to achieve and accomplish the objective of being sustainable and resilient. For example, if you are working in the agriculture sector or in the irrigation sector, you are utilizing technology to make this sector more sustainable and more resilient, to preserve the resources. This is totally dependent on how we utilize ICT and how to manage such things by using artificial intelligence, data analytics, Internet of Things, and so on and so forth. Also, you are helping the healthcare system to become resilient and sustainable as well. You are using technology for decarbonization, the decarbonization of buildings. You are using ICT technology for managing the medical records. You are using ICT technology to provide advanced services remotely. You are using ICT technology to analyze the data of the patients and having a sort of healthcare map for Egypt. You can predict the supply and demand in drugs. You are capable on advanced scale. You are using such advanced technologies that including artificial intelligence, computer vision, simulation, and so on and so forth, to invent new drug systems that help curing sophisticated diseases or even uncurable diseases. This is what's, and we witnessed this during COVID as well, when the technology has been used to the maximum to create and develop vaccines over the period of 9 months, which is actually a miracle. It was a miracle. So you are using technology in smart cities to becoming to minimize the energy consumption, to minimize the carbon footprint of every utility within the smart city, to help the smart city administration to have a sort of preventive maintenance, proactive preventive maintenance for the utilities that covering such citizens, including the electricity utilities, the water and sewage, and so on and so forth. You're using technology for having our transportation system more advanced, more intelligent. This would help you to reduce the congestion, help you to reduce the possibility of collision, you help the cars to have better routes for minimizing the waste of the fuel and gas, to have better air quality, to have better water quality for citizens. You have more advanced, more optimized production lines. So the ICT technology is playing a critical role in everything. So by itself, it could be sustainable and resilient, but also this is the foundation layer, or it's because it's embedded in every other economic and social sector. So it would be act as the enabler and the foundation for helping other sectors to be sustainable and resilient as well.
And all of this needs a lot of financing. Now, how can we finance such an integral sector, which, as you've mentioned, it is embedded within all other different sectors, and it works as a locomotive for all the remaining and other sectors, be it agriculture, industry, health, education, even tourism as well. So how do we actually keep a sustainable sort of financing for this ICT sector that is also, and being at the same time resilient to all external and internal pressures and circumstances?
Actually, you need to be attractive to the investment community. And the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Egypt is developing. And we witness a lot of development in this regards over the last couple of years. We were able to, last year, even within the problems and the challenges due to the COVID-19, we were able to attract like 500 million US dollars to startups. And this number grew actually from 40 startups to 80 startups over the last year. Also, one of the domains that are attracting so many investment, mainly foreign direct investment, is the fintech, or the financial technology domain. One of the startups here in Egypt was able to attract like 340 million US dollar over 12 months as investments. So you need to avail such investment opportunities to the international community, and you also need to keep investing in the minds of this kind of startups. You need to help them to grow by availing them opportunity to, as government, to help them to become the first user, to the first customer for them. And this is what happened in China, by the way. One of the largest telecom companies, it's becoming a giant telecom company. Actually, it wasn't there like 20 years ago. And the initial funds comes from the government, but this is only should be treated as initial seed funds. Because we need such companies to grow based on profit and loss and operation, not only having the possibility of making great success, or having the possibility of making great growth. So by helping them to becoming a company that is working in Egypt, and the government give them the proof of concept and give them the credential of using their product and services, this would help them to grow, this would help them to avail their product and services to the regional and international markets, and is very actually is very normal practice, very common practice that happened in the United States back in the 1970s up to the early 21st century, and this happened in China so many times, and this what made such companies valuated at billions and even trillions of US dollars.
Dr. Ghazal, one final question because we're running out of time now. Sometimes all these emerging startups, whenever they start making serious profit, hundreds of millions and even sometimes $1 billion or more, a lot of the main established companies, multinationals, tend to buy them and swallow them whole. And some say this is actually a good thing, and entrepreneurs, whenever they get a very lucrative and attractive offer, they sell their own company. Now, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Is it good that an entrepreneur would actually sell their company to a much bigger, more established tycoon sort of multinationals, or should they just keep on holding on to their startup, which becomes in turn a very big established company?
It's a good and bad at the same time. Actually, it's a decision at the end of the day. However, this is the role of the game. Back to the 1970s and 80s, there were some entrepreneurs, very micro ventures, and they have not been on the radar of the big companies. And that's why they became tycoons.
Yes.
And they are leading the technology business all over the world, and they are making hundreds of millions of profit. And that's such companies learned the lesson quite well, and that's why they are monitoring the startups all over the world. If someone is becoming closer to their core competence, to their core business, they are willing to spend and acquire such a startup. Otherwise, such a startup could become another tycoon and get them out of business.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank my very distinguished guest, Dr. Mohamed Azzam, the board member of the International Association of the Management of Technology, IMOT. Dr. Azzam, always a pleasure having you with us.
Always a pleasure, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for joining us.